We are here with James Barker of the James Barker Band on Pure Country. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm well. How are you doing?
Good. Our family is healthy, which is a very rare thing in a house with kids. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, if nobody's coughing or hacking or sneezing, it's like a rarity.
Yeah,
So,
you're like, this is a good day. So 2023, we had we got to do something really fun for Christmas and host a Christmas special with the James Barker Band on Pure Country. And you guys kind of talked about how 2023 is going to be like one of your busiest years yet. Does it feel like it's already there, even just a few weeks in?
it does. It already feels crazy. Like even, jumping on a bunch of calls this morning in between that, like approving album artwork and like song mixes and stuff. It's just like it being constantly inundated with stuff. But I mean, that's kind of how you want it to be, right? You kind of want to embrace the chaos. So,
Yeah. And we've all been waiting for this to finally happen again. So I think everyone's like, let's go.
yeah, there's definitely like it's 10% like, oh, this is too crazy, and 90% like just thankful it's all back.
When you say album artwork, do you mean just artwork for your new song Meet Your Mama, or do you mean like a new James Barker Band album?
Not full album, just like single artwork for different singles and stuff. I won't give too much away, but it's not like the White Album or something like that.
So Meet Your Mama, this song, I was talking about this the other day on the radio, and I actually had a lot of people write in and say, I totally know what you mean. James Barker Band has this sound and this like vibe and feeling that I feel like every song of yours has. None of them sound the same. And they're like, might be a breakup song, might be a beer song, but it has this like positive, uplifting vibe, like similar to like going to a Coldplay concert. They have that vibe.
Right.
How have you guys maintained that in every song, whether it's like, Beer Me and then Meet Your Mama, two very different songs, but they are so you guys.
That's a good question. I do feel like at the end of it, because I write on everything, everything's gonna have a little bit of like that flavor to it. And you would even recognize this with Steven. But it's like people will just have things that they do like musically or creatively that is just like that's like their accent almost. Whereas like even for better or worse, they can't shake it, even if they wanted to. And so you just kind of have to embrace it. And so everything will have a little bit of that flavor to it. It'll have a little bit of like the oregano that is that person's thing mixed in with it. And I do feel like you also get that because always writing with different writers and stuff, you get a bit of like the flavor of the other writers in it. And one thing you definitely hear in all of our songs that feel like I would say anthemic a little bit is you definitely hear that when we write with Todd Clark, who's also our producer, who, if nobody knows that name, he also wrote like all the big Philip Phillips songs and he wrote like the Serena Ryder stuff. And so you're like, oh, the guy writes like emotional, epic, like not ballads, like anthemic songs. And you
Yeah.
can definitely sense that one in Meet Your Mama. There's like I just give you the craziest word, but there's like a jubilation or something like that in the chorus. Do you know what I mean? It's like this
Yeah.
big thing.
I did not know. So I knew a lot of his accolades. I didn't know that Todd was in the Philip Phillips world, which makes a lot of sense because I feel like he has really captured, especially in production. When you go to a live JBB show, there's that like anthemic feeling, and to like actually
Yeah.
capture that on a record is really difficult to do. But you guys managed to really do that.
Especially like if you go back and listen to Good Together, and then you're like, it's the Philip Phillips guy. You can hear it instantly. You're like, but it's so crazy because we love that stuff, and we're like, Todd, do that thing. We want it to sound like that. And he's like, okay, boom, done. So
So Meet Your Mama, what was it about this song? Because obviously it's a little more emotional and a little more romantic, which you guys have done. But what was it about this song that you guys were like, okay, new project, we're gonna lead with this?
it was. I mean, it's always hard, especially because we've written so much over the last couple of years. But this was one. Actually, I was looking at it last night. That we wrote it. I have like the voice memo from July of 2020, so it's pretty like I mean, it's a while ago.
Yeah.
And but it was one that we got like a good demo of it like you do now. And so it was one that every time we were listening to like a batch of songs or showed them to someone new, they'd instantly be like, I love this song, I love that song. But that song feels special. That song like instantly makes me feel emotional. Like it makes me feel something. It makes me want to fall in love, or it reminds me of my wife or my girlfriend or whatever. And to me, like if you've done that, don't overthink it. That's what you should do. Is the song should have an emotional response. And if a song has an emotional response, then you've done the thing, because that's the whole point of music. And so that was kind of our deciding factor on this. It was like everybody hears it and goes, this song makes me feel instantly. And it's like that's what a song should do.
Yeah.
And it just feels like honest, which is really that's what country music is, right?
Yep. And it's so true. And it's so catchy. Like I'm not even kidding you. As I was like making my tea this morning, I'm like humming the chorus and I'm like, damn, this is so good. And I feel like fans, there's even though it's like, you know, obviously coming from a guy's perspective, I can listen to it and I remember that moment of, you know, my husband taking me home to meet his mom and vice versa. So it really is a universal song, which is really cool that you guys were able to spin it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we like to like sometimes in country music be like, you want to say the stuff that a guy can't, that a guy in country has a hard time saying, like a country dude would have a hard time saying. And this song kind of does that. It's like saying all of those things in still a way that a country dude might say them, but might not know the words to do it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like saying, I love you and I want to know everything about you, but being like, I want to meet your mom, I want to meet your dad, I want to know
Yeah.
everything. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more conversational.
So what was it like when you first went to meet Steph's parents? How did that
It
go?
it was it wasn't like this song, but it was all but
Okay.
it's also a pretty cool story. It's just harder to write it. Steph and I met as like the most 20 well, at the time it was 2014, but like the most millennial thing. We met on Tinder.
No
Um
way. Oh, yes, I knew
yeah.
that.
So it was, which is like before it was like a hookup app, because apparently that's what it is now. But we met on Tinder, and so I like went to. She lived like about an hour and a half from where I lived. She was pretty far away, and so I went to pick her up. And like just growing up in the country, I'm used to just going to people's doors when you pick them up instead of being like here, right? Especially on a date. And so I
It's
went to her
not
front
a
door.
typical way of a Tinder date going. Like the guy doesn't normally show up at your parents' house at the front door.
Apparently not. So I was new to Tinder. I didn't make it long on there. But I showed up and her mom answered the door, and she wasn't like expecting me to like come to the door. So her mom's like, "Hey, who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm here to pick up Stephanie." And so Steph was like mortified and like ran out and was like, "Oh my God, why do you come to the door, mom?" Like, hey, like, because she didn't tell her mom she's going on a date or anything. And so
Yeah.
that was like first. So I actually met Steph's mom before I met Steph.
That's hilarious. Okay. Yeah, that would be tricky to write in a country song, but maybe one day.
Yeah, that would be like 5 verses of explaining.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that is so awesome. Is there more in maybe the near future of James Barker Band music coming out? Or are you guys gonna do kind of like a slow roll?
No, we've definitely got. I mean, I feel like now you can release a ton of music just with the
Yeah.
nature of it. You don't have to wait to print it on CD. And so we've got so many songs that are kind of wrapped and finished and clear coated or mastered, whatever you want to call it. And our thing is like, let's just keep releasing it, especially now. Like, we like to tease our music online. That's like the thing to do now, obviously. But it's really cool. I mean, you post the same song 20 times, but it connects with people every time. And so we're just going to keep doing that and see what people think, and definitely be releasing a bunch more music. We have so much. It's just like you don't want to hold on to it, because if you're constantly writing, songs just go by the wayside. It's like, no, you want to release the stuff you're writing, right?
Why
Because
not?
you don't need the Dropbox to grow any bigger.
Exactly. And even if it affects it, like, you know, helps a couple people, having that connect with, you know, a certain group is so important. And I bet your song catalog of like unreleased music is probably pretty extensive and incredible.
It's pretty cool listening back to it, but also it's that thing where it's like you look back at what you did a couple years ago. Meet Your Mama is not that. That one feels right still, as if we wrote it yesterday. But you look back and you see your growth as a writer. And so if you don't release something relatively fast, it gets stale to you. Even
Yeah.
if it's still good, it gets stale to you as a writer really quick. So it's better just to release it. And it's
Yeah.
like a little timestamp of what you were thinking at that time.
For sure. Well, we are happy for you guys to release as much music as you guys want. We will definitely listen to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Awesome. James Barker on Pure Country, Meet Your Mama, brand new song from the James Barker Band. Go check it out.